What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Sister Girl on Films. And as you can tell by the title, I am here to give my thoughts and opinions on the latest addition to the Quiet Place franchise, A Quiet Place Day One. So if you're interested in my thoughts on this film, then stay right there. We're going to get right into this review.
Time to hang out with my sister girl. Hey, sister girl on films. Hey, sister girl on films. Hey.
So when I initially saw the trailer for A Quiet Place Day One, I was so excited. Listen, I love Lupita Nyong'o. The trailer really had me amped up for it. We saw some familiar faces that really connected this movie with the previous two entries into the franchise. So I was all in, honey. But the question is, did the trailer oversell this movie? You know, I think that's a great question to ask, because this movie is an addition to what I consider to be a very successful franchise up until this point. People don't really talk about the second sequel curse. So usually we get the original movie, not always, but usually the sequel is really good, and then you have the dreaded part 3. Is it going to hold up to the rest of the franchise? Is it going to surpass them? Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors. I'm just saying. Will it end up being the best in the franchise? I don't know. And so I was nervous in regards to that aspect when it came to this movie, because those are some pretty big shoes to fill. John Krasinski did an amazing job with Quiet Place and The Quiet Place Part 2. Even though John Krasinski was a producer for this, so obviously he had some say. It's a whole nother thing to be the director. And I think Michael Zernowski did a great job directing this movie. I actually loved A Quiet Place Day One. Lupita's character name was Samira, and her character just pissed me off. You know, I'm just gonna say it. Her character pissed me off from the first time we were introduced to her, almost all the way up to the end. By the end, she was pissing me off a lot less, but her character is in a very vulnerable position, and y'all, this is gonna be spoiler free. Her character is in a very, very vulnerable position from day one. And so a lot of her decisions throughout the film actually made sense because of her condition and the position she was in throughout the film. So it made sense for me. And I'm not saying her character pissed me off in a negative way. I'm saying it in a good way, because her performance was so great that I really felt like I was really watching this woman try to navigate this apocalyptic event in a way that probably most people would probably navigate it, especially in her position. And so Lupita's performance, as always for me, 10 out of 10. I think she's a phenomenal actress. We had Joseph Quinn. I'm not sure who he is. I probably have seen him in things before and just not aware of his name. But I really loved his performance as well. He was briefly in the trailer. Again, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but at some point he and Lupita's character link up unwillingly. And their dynamic to me was just so amazing. They played off each other very well. Even his story arc was very sad when you find out, you know, more of his backstory and why he's in, because they're in New York. If you haven't seen the trailer, I mean, they're in New York. When you find out why he's in New York, and it just really helps you connect to these two characters so much. And then everyone's like harping on the cat. Listen, I am a dog person. But to me, if we're going to write a story that would be somewhat realistic to what this type of like alien invasion type event would look like, I don't think it's unrealistic that a woman in the condition that Lupita was in would not have an emotional support animal. And it could have been a dog, but I feel like for A Quiet Place, a dog would have been a terrible idea. For one, dogs are loud as hell. And with as much shit happens in this movie, they wouldn't have made it past the first 10 minutes of this movie. Like, this dog would have barked, and the dog would have not stopped barking. So I feel like a cat was a perfect choice for emotional support animal. And the cat was adorable, and the cat did cat shit. Cats are assholes. And the cat did cat shit, but the cat came back. Okay, that's all that matters. The cat knew who its owner was, and it did stupid shit to get people in terrible predicaments. But the cat was loyal. That's all I know. Okay, and then Alex Wolff was also in this. He's an amazing actor too. And again, he did such a great job. I didn't even recognize it was him. And while I was watching the movie, I was like, "Is that my guy from Hereditary?" I swear it looks like him, but just with long hair. He looks great. Long hair and a beard. Okay, come on now. So all around, the performances were amazing. Storytelling was pretty good. Now this is where we step into what maybe I didn't necessarily like about this movie, because I loved it. But my one critique was that there were some pretty slow moments. And I feel like for this to have been day one of this huge alien invasion, which we've already had 2 movies about at this point, for me, there wasn't enough like alien action. Like, it was there, but there were some moments where we were doing some character development and things like that, which I feel like is necessary for story building. But also, this is day one. Like, I feel like the people, the military, everybody learned about the aliens and their weakness when it comes to water way too fast. And everybody learned about their weakness when it comes to sound way too fast. Like, we were like, if I have to give a time amount to it, from the time the first initial attack happened, maybe, and then, of course this is movie character time, maybe within probably like 20 to 30 minutes, maybe an hour tops, people had already found out that they are sensitive to sound. I think, especially in a populated city like New York, it would take a minute, especially for this to happen day one. So that was probably my biggest gripe about this movie. It's just some of the slower parts, and then just how fast everybody learned about the aliens and their abilities and their skills. Also, I just feel like we didn't get enough of the aliens. Again, for it to be day one, this should have been, for me, should have been way more of like an action flick. Like, Michael Bay was also producer in this. I feel like this was the movie where he could have showed up and showed out. Not crazy, like crazy explosions and unnecessary, like, cleavage shots and half-naked women. I ain't talking about that Michael Bay. But I am talking about the Michael Bay that does produce really amazing action sequences. And there were some great ones in this movie, but I feel like this could have been like his time to shine for real, since again, it was day one. But overall, y'all, I really love this one. I might say this cautiously optimistic, but I would love to see a 4th and final installment in this series. I feel like the second one kind of tied it all up in a bow, but I wouldn't be upset to see maybe a 4th, like, final, maybe battle, or like maybe a way of just connecting a 3rd one and a 4th one together to kind of tie it all together to where we ultimately end up where the first one began. Something like that. I don't know. Because there were a couple of moments that could look like a cliffhanger. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there is a character that was important to part 2. And we kind of sort of see their origin. But I feel like with that character, there's a whole nother story that could be told just based off of them and their family and how they created what they created in its form of community. So I think that story will be great to tell. And that, for me, will be a great way just to wrap up what I feel like is a very strong modern day sci-fi movie franchise. Because I love A Quiet Place. I feel like up until this point, all 3 have been really great. I've seen the reviews for day one, and they've been kind of up and down. I didn't look into why they were that way. I just know, people like what they like and they don't what they don't, and it is what it is. But for me, I absolutely enjoy it, and I would highly suggest you go check out A Quiet Place day one. Let me know in the comments below if you've already seen it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you feel like it fit with the other 2 previous films, or did you feel like it was too different? Like, let me know your thoughts. And as always, y'all, like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'm gonna see y'all next time for something else.